Hello, and welcome to Englishscape's English for Business and Law. In this part, we're going to look at the types of businesses. Now, as usual, this is an English course. It's not really a law course. It's designed for intermediate level English language learners. That's about IELTS 5.5 to 6.5 or TOEFL IBT 45 to 100, about there, an intermediate level. In this unit, we're going to look at three types of businesses. We're going to look at sole proprietorships. What is a sole proprietorship? What are the advantages and disadvantages of this business structure? Then, we'll look at partnerships. What is a partnership? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of forming a partnership as a type of business? Finally, we'll look at corporations. What is a corporation? What are the advantages or disadvantages of this business structure? This is a language course, so we focus on language learning. There are 28 key vocabulary, words that are really important for business and law for this topic. We'll study those a lot. There are some listening exercises. You'll listen to several lawyers and clients speaking to each other, followed by questions about that listening. There are also some reading exercises. In this unit, there are 2 contracts written for different types of businesses. There are some questions that follow, and then there are some client questions where the client asks the lawyer, you, what does this part in the contract mean? And you explain it by using the information in those agreements. And there are also vocabulary learning exercises. We've got flashcards, quizzes, games, crosswords, and more. So again, welcome to English for Business and Law. Types of businesses. I hope you enjoy this course. If you do, look out for other legal English and business English courses from Englishscape. Alright, let's start learning the 28 key vocabulary items for this part, called types of businesses. We will study 14 words now, and we will look at the other 14 a bit later. I'm going to use the Quizlet website to display these words. There's also an app for Quizlet. Quizlet is a site that you can use to study vocabulary. You can find the words here by searching for Englishscape. You'll find all the vocabulary sets there. There are also 2 links below this video. One link to the 28 words with pictures, and one link without pictures. In Quizlet, there are various ways to practice vocabulary using flashcards, playing games. There's even a test function. Also, you will see below a link to the paper copy of the words, and you may want to print this if you want, and there's a space here for making notes or for writing a translation if that's what you would prefer. If you want to print the document now, pause the video and then play again when you're ready. All right, if you're ready, let's begin. All right, let's get started with the first 14 words in this part. The first word is capital. Capital. Now you may know this as the capital of a country. For example, Tokyo is the capital of Japan. London is the capital of United Kingdom. This has a different meaning in business. It is the money used to start or expand a business, How much capital do you have to start this business? This word has a similar meaning to finance. Finance, financing the business, finding money. The next word is debt. Debt. Debt is an amount of money that is owed to another party. Money you must pay to some business or some person. It's a liability. Liability. We will look at liability a bit later. Distribution. Distribution. Distribution is a noun. The verb form is to distribute. Distribute. This means the way in which something is shared out. Perhaps money is shared to partners in a business. Money or profits are distributed to partners in a partnership. Establish. Establish. Establish is a verb, to establish. The noun is establishment. Establishment. It means to begin or create something new. To start a business. To establish a new business. The establishment of this business was very difficult. Finance. Finance. Finance is both a noun and a verb, to finance something. It means to get or raise money to start a business, to finance a new business. It means to get enough money to start the business. Income. Income. Money that is received regularly from work or from investments. You receive income from your business. It's money that you can spend as an individual. Invest. Invest. Invest is a verb. There are two nouns, investment, investment, and investor. Investor. Invest is to pay money into a business. Maybe you want to make profit. You could buy shares in a company in order to make profit. This is an investment. A person who makes an investment is an investor. Investor. Legal entity. Legal entity. An organization, such as a business or government unit, that has a legal identity which is separate from those of its members. So, this is as it says, an organization or a business that is separate from its owners. It is a legal entity, a separate business in the law. Liable. Liable. The noun for this is liability. Liability. To be responsible, for example, for repayment of a debt or compensation for an injury. You've something you must pay or you are legally responsible for, a liability. Partnership. Partnership. Or the people in a partnership, partners. Partners. A partnership is a business that is jointly owned and run by two or more people. The people are called partners. Profit. Profit. Profit is a financial gain, money that you make from an investment or income from a business. This is profit. A business can also make profit. The opposite of profit is loss. Losses. Raise. Raise. This has a financial meaning. To raise something is to get money for something, for a specific purpose. Raise money for your new business. Raise money, here the picture is, for a charity. to raise money, to make money. Separate, separate. This is an adjective, a separate business. The noun is separation, separation. Separation or separate means not joined or connected or combined. It's a separate business. The owner and the business are separate entities, perhaps. Sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship. This is a noun, and the person who owns a sole proprietorship is called a sole proprietor. Sole proprietor. A sole proprietorship is a type of business that has only one person as the owner. One person owning and usually running the business is a sole proprietor. Well, that's the end of the first part of this vocabulary, these 28 words. You can find these on Quizlet to practice, and you can see the activities that you can do on the website here. Flashcards, learning, writing, spelling. There's a test function, and also 2 games, Match and Gravity. The app has fewer activities, but is useful because you can do it on your phone anytime, anywhere. All right, try the Quizlet activities online or on the app, and I'll see you in the next section.
Sole proprietorships. Krishna is opening his own business. He's going to establish a new business in computer consulting called High-Tech Consulting. High-Tech Consulting will be a sole proprietorship because the business is owned and run by one person. Krishna will be the only employee and will have complete control over the business. Sole proprietorships are the most common and simplest type of business structure. Also, there's no legal distinction between the owner and the business. Krishna and High-Tech Consulting are considered to be the same legal entity. This means Krishna can keep all of High-Tech Consulting's profits. However, Krishna is also personally liable for his business debts and liabilities. Sole proprietorships provide many advantages for the business owner. They are easy and inexpensive to start. There are few governmental or legal requirements when starting or running a sole proprietorship. This means that it's much cheaper to establish. Many business owners prefer sole proprietorships because they have complete control over the business and the business decisions. This gives the owner a lot of flexibility. Also, the proprietor receives all the profits from the business. Krishna doesn't have to share them with a partner. So, Krishna is extremely happy because it seems that a sole proprietorship will be very easy to finance and establish. However, there are some disadvantages he should consider before choosing this business structure. Firstly, Krishna and his business are considered as the same legal entity by the government, the courts, and tax departments. Furthermore, he has unlimited liability. This means that Krishna is personally liable for all business debts and other business liabilities. For example, if Krishna borrows money from a bank to finance his new business, Krishna is personally responsible to pay the money back, even though he took the loan for his business. Secondly, Krishna will not have additional business partners who may have different skills and business experience. Krishna may be an expert with computers, but does he know about small business accounting or marketing? Because of these disadvantages, it can be very difficult to raise startup capital. Many banks and investors do not want to lend money to sole proprietorships because so many of these businesses fail.
Now, try this listening exercise. Which type of business is best for this client? You will hear a lawyer speaking to his client. Listen to the conversation and then answer the questions about the listening that follow in the next section.
Good morning. How can I help you?
Good morning. I need some advice. I'm planning to start a business and I need help to decide which type of business is right for me.
Well, I'll have to start by asking you some questions about your plans. First, what sort of business do you have in mind?
I'm hoping to be a computer software consultant. I'm interested in computers and I'm good at working with them. So I think I can make some extra money by helping people fix their computer and network problems.
You talk about extra money. Will this be full-time work for you?
No. At first, I'll keep my present job and I'll just do the consulting work in the evenings and at weekends. I plan to try it out just for a year or two.
Will you have anyone else working with you?
No, I plan to do it on my own.
How much capital do you need to start the business in order to finance your office and equipment? Are you applying for a loan from the bank?
Well, I really don't need much money. I don't need any special new equipment. Most of the work is just applying my knowledge to people's computers. I have plenty of software. I don't even need an office because I will be going to people's offices or homes to work on their computers there. I will be able to keep all my communications and records on my laptop.
I see. Well, in that case, I recommend that you set up your business as a...
Now, answer the questions in the next section. Feel free to listen to the conversation as many times as you need to. Now, let's try the first reading exercise for this unit. It's a contract for a sole proprietor. Read the contract between Mitchell Windows and Doors and Krishna Patel. Krishna is the sole proprietor. After reading the contract, answer the multiple choice questions and the client questions. You will find them online or in a PDF in this section. Now, if you're happy reading the contract by yourself, go ahead, stop this video and read the contract. Or I will read the contract and explain some of the ideas and vocabulary. It's your choice. Okay, let's read the contract together. This is a consulting agreement. This consulting agreement is entered into on December 11th, 2020 by and between, here's the dates, now the parties. First party is James Kingston Mitchell of Mitchell Windows and Doors, his name and the company name, and Krishna Patel of High Tech Consulting. He's the sole proprietor. Consulting agreement. This consulting agreement states the terms and conditions that govern. Govern here is a verb. It means control. The noun is government. So this contract controls this agreement. That govern the contract between High Tech Consulting, hereinafter known as the consultant. If you've done an Englishscape Unit 2 on contracts, you will know that hereinafter means herein, in this contract here, and after this point. So after this point, the consultant means Krishna Patel of High Tech Consulting, having its principal place of business at 201 Harrison Street, Oakland, California. And Mitchell Windows and Doors, hereinafter known as the client, having its principal place of business at 299 23rd Avenue, Oakland, California. Whereas, introducing a new point, the consultant offers consulting services in the field of computer, hardware, software, and network design and installation. And whereas, the client requires the services of the consultant for technical consulting services with regard to computer software design according to the terms and conditions herein. Herein means in this contract, here, in this agreement. We begin the section of articles now. Therefore, in consideration of the guarantees made by the partners herein. Consideration means here about in thinking about or knowing about the guarantees made by the parties herein. The consultant, you know that's Krishna, and the client, you know that's Mitchell's Windows and Doors, agree as follows. 1. Term. Term means a length of time. This agreement shall begin on the 1st of January 2021 and continue for 6 months. Either party may terminate means to stop, finish, this agreement for any reason with 30 days written notice to the other party. 2. Consulting services. The consultant agrees that it shall provide its expertise to the client for all things pertaining to, this means related to or about, computer software design for an online marketing design and ordering process, hereinafter known as the services. Capital S for services because it refers to a major point. That is computer software design for online marketing and design and ordering processes. 3. Compensation. Here compensation means payment for services. In consideration for the services, the client shall pay the consultant at a rate of $36.50 per hour. The consultant shall invoice the client once every month, and payment of such invoices shall be due means when you have to pay, within 14 days of the date of the invoice, so 2 weeks. 4. Intellectual property rights. The parties acknowledge and agree that the client, this is Mitchell's Windows and Doors, will hold all intellectual property rights exclusively. That means this party only will own these rights in any work or product resulting from the services, including but not limited to copyright for publications, patent for ideas and processes, and trademark for logos and names. So the client here, Mitchell Windows and Doors, will own all of the software and anything that Krishna creates for this project. Number 5, confidentiality, meaning keeping things secret. The consultant shall not disclose to any third party any details regarding the client's business, including any information related to any of the client's customer information, business plans, or price points. Make copies of any confidential information for personal use or for distribution means sharing, unless requested to do so by the client, or use confidential information other than solely for the benefit of the client. So Krishna has to be careful that he doesn't disclose or show or tell any of the confidential, secret information from the client, Mitchell Windows and Doors. 6. Non-competition. During the term of this agreement, and for 6 months thereafter, after that point, the consultant shall not engage as an employee or consultant in any company in competition with the client, including any company engaged in glass, cabinet, or kitchen sales. So Krishna cannot work for another similar company for 6 months after finishing with Mitchell Windows and Doors. 7. Limitations of employment. During the term of this agreement and for 6 months thereafter, the consultant will not attempt to obtain any business from any of the company's clients, employees, or contractors. Article 8. Legal liability. The client agrees to protect the consultant from all lawsuits, being taken to court, and costs of every kind pertaining to the client's business, including reasonable legal fees due to any act or failure to act by the client while providing consulting services. So the client here, Mitchell Windows and Doors, will legally protect the consultant, Krishna, from any lawsuits and any costs incurred by those lawsuits. 9. Amendments to this agreement. Amendments, means changes. Any modification of the conditions of this agreement shall not be valid, valid means acceptable or true, unless in writing and agreed on by both parties. Both parties, the client and the consultant, must agree to any change to this contract. Article 10. Applicable law. This consulting agreement and the interpretation of its terms, interpretation means the meaning of its terms, shall be governed by the laws of the state of California and subject to the exclusive jurisdiction is where the court controls, of federal and state courts located in Alameda County, California. So there were the 10 articles. Now, the witnesses section. In witness hereof of this contract, by execution by the parties below, this agreement shall form part of the consultation contract. High-Tech Consulting, Krishna Patel has signed and dated the contract 11th of December 2020. For Mitchell Windows and Doors, James K. Mitchell signs and dates the contract 11th of December 2020. Right, that's the contract. You can print that or use the online version of the contract and do the questions. There are some multiple choice questions and some client questions. In the client questions, each client asks some points about the contract. You need to find the best or most relevant article and write the answer for the client. See you in the next section.
Now, try this listening exercise. Listen to a lecture about the advantages and disadvantages of sole proprietorships. There's a worksheet for this exercise. Complete the worksheet by filling in the missing words. It's a good idea to print the worksheet if you want. You can find it as a PDF in this section. Before you listen, read the text carefully and try and guess the answers. You will see the advantages text on the next slide. Now, pause the video. Read this text carefully. This text is about the advantages of sole proprietorships. As you read, try and guess the answers before you listen. Pause the video again. Read this text about the disadvantages of sole proprietorships. As before, read the text and try and guess the answers before you listen. Now, listen to the lecture on advantages and disadvantages of sole proprietorships. You will hear the advantages first, and then on the next slide you will hear the disadvantages. As you listen, fill in the blanks on the worksheet.
Sole proprietorships have some major advantages. The first advantage is that a sole proprietorship is the easiest form of business to start. The name of the business must not be the same one that is already registered. The proprietor, the owner, may need to register and get a license from the local government. However, there is no need for any further legal work to start the business. The second major advantage is that the owner has complete control over how the business is managed and can make all the decisions independently. Also, there are few government regulations that need to be followed in the running of these businesses. However, there are also some disadvantages of sole proprietorships. First, the proprietor has unlimited liability if anything goes wrong. This might include liability for injuries to employees or members of the public due to accidents at the business or when the business equipment is being used. Also, the owner is liable for any debts owed by the business. If the business fails, all the owner's personal assets may be taken to pay off the debt. A second problem comes when the owner needs to raise capital for the business. Banks may agree to lend money only if the proprietor owns a valuable asset such as a house. However, they may refuse a loan, especially if they think that the business is not likely to be successful.
You can listen to the lecture as many times as you want. Then, when you have finished, go on to the next slide and check your answers. Here are the answers for the advantages of sole proprietorships. Number 1 is registered. Number 2, the owner. Number 3, local government. Number 4, control. Number 5, decisions. And number 6, regulations. Here are the answers for the disadvantages of sole proprietorships. Number 7, unlimited liability. Number 8, liability. Number 9, accidents. Number 10, debts. Number 11, assets. Number 12, capital. Number 13, lend. Number 14, asset. Number 15, successful. It's important to check the meanings of any words that you don't know. go back to the vocabulary page and check the meanings there, or check in a dictionary. Then, when you're happy, go on to the next exercise.
Now, before we go on, here are some questions to think about. Think about these 3 questions. Try to decide on at least 3 answers for each question. If you can, discuss your answers with someone else. The first question: what advice would you give to a client about the benefits of a sole proprietorship? What are the advantages? Why should someone choose a sole proprietorship as their business structure? Can you think of 3 reasons? Question 2. Why would you advise a client against creating a sole proprietorship? What are the disadvantages? Why would another business structure, be better than a sole proprietorship for your client? Can you think of 3 disadvantages? And the third question: when would it be better for clients to form a partnership instead of a sole proprietorship? What skills might they need for their business? Is there a problem with finance? Can you think of 3 reasons why someone might be better off forming a partnership for their business rather than a sole proprietorship? So, did you think of 3 things for each question? As I said at the start, if you can, discuss your answers with someone else. When you're ready, go on to the next section. So, before we finish this section, let's do a quick summary of sole proprietorships. A definition for a sole proprietorship is a business owned and controlled by one person who is solely liable for its obligations. Obligations, things the business must do or act on. There are several advantages to a sole proprietorship. They're easy to establish to start and to disestablish to close. The startup costs are low, minimal. There are few government regulations and rules relating to the establishment and running of a sole proprietorship. The proprietor has complete control over the business decisions and actions. And the proprietor receives all of the profits. However, there are also some disadvantages. The proprietor has unlimited liability for debts of the business. Because there is just one owner, there is limited startup capital, money to start the business. Generally, this business structure is used for a short-term business. Usually, the business is a small business. And lastly, the proprietor does not have other business partners who may have different skills and experience that they can bring to the business. Now, go on to the next business structure: partnerships.
Partnerships. A business partnership is established and run by 2 or more individuals. The individuals are partners and are co-owners of the business. There are actually several different types of business partnerships. The most common is a general partnership because it's the easiest and least expensive to form. It's a partnership where all partners have responsibility for the business and unlimited liability for business debts. This means that each general partner shares both the benefits and the liabilities of the business. For example, William and Sophie have decided to open a diet advice clinic. They decide to name the business Nutrition for Life. Each partner must be involved in the business in some way. At Nutrition for Life, the partners agree that William will be responsible for finance and administration, while Sophie will be responsible for providing diet advice. Both partners will contribute money towards establishing and running the business. William and Sophie will share any business profits. However, if the business loses money, then they'll also share the losses. Partnerships are popular due to the advantages they provide. Firstly, general partnerships are easy and inexpensive to establish. There are few requirements for formal paperwork to form a general partnership. Secondly, the partners can bring different skills to the business. In Nutrition for Life, the two partners bring experience in both business administration and in medical advice. General partnerships are also popular because the partners have complete control over business decisions. William and Sophie will share responsibility for the management of the business and act as their own bosses. Unlike sole proprietorships, there is more than one person to finance the establishment of the business. This can make it easier to get additional capital from banks and investors. Also, because the business and the owners are not separate legal entities, the business profits become the partners' income. The partners simply pay their own individual income taxes. Nutrition for Life is not taxed separately. William and Sophie are feeling very confident now. However, there are a few disadvantages of a general partnership that they need to consider. Unlike a sole proprietorship, business decisions are made by both partners. This may cause disagreements, and if one partner wants to leave the partnership, the business may have to be sold. Furthermore, general partners have unlimited liability for business liabilities and debts. This means that unless there's an agreement otherwise, any general partner can create debts or legal obligations for both partners. For example, William may agree to business arrangements that both Sophie and William may be responsible for, or Sophie may provide poor dietary advice that results in legal action for both partners.
All right, let's try another listening exercise. In this listening, you will hear a lawyer give advice to her client about forming a partnership. Before you listen, there are some questions to think about. Can you think of 3 things for questions 1 and 2? Question 1. Why is it a good idea to meet with a lawyer before establishing a new partnership? Question 2. What information do you think the lawyer will require before she can give appropriate advice to the client? And question 3. For each thing in question 2, write the question that the lawyer might ask. Before you listen, look at the 6 short answer comprehension questions for this listening exercise. Either look at the questions online or print the PDF copy. It's important to try and predict
guess any answers before you listen. Now, listen.
Good afternoon, Ms. Keenan. How are you? I'm here to get some advice from you about a new business I want to start.
Nice to see you again, Mr. Taylor. Sure. What type of business are you planning?
I want to leave my job at the hospital and set up a diet clinic with my friend, Dr. Sophie Smart.
Will you and Dr. Smart share in the ownership and running of the clinic, or will she be your employee?
Not my employee. We'll own the business and do the work together.
I see. And do you plan to make the business grow with many employees and a lot of branches?
No, we're planning just to have a small business. We'll probably only employ a secretary and maybe a nurse.
Okay. How about finance? You will not need a lot of money, I think. How will you and your partner raise enough capital to start the business?
Well, we don't need a lot of capital to start this business. Most of the costs will be for renting our shop, some equipment, and advertising. We can both get a loan from our banks.
As you do not need to raise much money and you plan to share in the financing and running of a small business, I advise you to register the business as a partnership.
That sounds difficult. Will it take a lot of time?
Not usually. When you are ready to start, come to me for help with writing your partnership agreement.
After listening, go back and listen to the dialogue again, if you need to. We'll check your answers in the next part. Let's check the answers. Question 1. What type of business does Mr. Taylor want to start? He wants to start a computer consulting company, giving advice on computers, networks, and things like that. Question 2. Who is Dr. Sophie Smart? Is she the sole proprietor of the new business, Mr. Taylor's business partner, or an employee of the new business? The answer is, of course, she is Mr. Taylor's business partner. Question 3. How many employees do they expect the business to have? 2. He said a secretary and maybe a nurse. Let's check questions 4, 5, and 6. 4. What are 2 expenses that Mr. Taylor expects to have when starting this business? The answer? 2 of rent or renting a shop, equipment, and or advertising. Question 5. Where will they get the money from to start the new business? The answer? A loan from their banks. Number 6. Which type of business does the lawyer recommend to Mr. Taylor? The answer was, of course, a partnership. At the start, you thought of some questions that the lawyer might ask. Did the lawyer ask the questions you thought of at the start of this exercise? Do you have additional questions that you think are important? A few days later, Mr. Taylor meets his lawyer again to talk about creating a partnership agreement. This meeting is in the next lecture. Let's try the second listening exercise. Mr. Taylor meets with his lawyer again. A few days later, Mr. Taylor meets with his lawyer again. Before you listen, read the questions. You'll find them below, either online or in the PDF. Make sure you understand all the questions and try to predict the answers.
Now, listen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor. It's good to see you again. How can I help you?
Hello, Ms. Keenan. It's nice to see you too. I'm here to get some advice about setting up a partnership with my business partner, Dr. Sophie Smart. I'm a bit confused about a few things, and I'd appreciate your legal opinion.
Yes, I can give you information about partnerships.
Okay, first, I have heard that a partnership is very similar to a sole proprietorship. Is that right?
Yes, like a sole proprietorship, a partnership is very simple to start and run with few regulations. You can just start the business. However, you will have to register the partnership's name if you are not running the business using just your own names. Of course, the partners are legally liable for the business's losses and debts.
Okay. Our business will be called Nutrition for Life. I guess we will need to register the name.
Yes, you will need to check that no one has already registered that name before you can use it.
Is it necessary to sign a partnership agreement?
No, it's not legally necessary. The law will assume that the two of you are partners if you are clearly working together.
Is that a problem?
It may not be. The law will treat you as equal partners for the distribution of profits and with equal liabilities for debts. If you want a different distribution of profits and liabilities, then you need to make a legal agreement. An agreement is also important for specifying how the business will continue if one partner decides to leave or dies. If there is no partnership agreement, the law says that the partnership must end.
What other problems might there be for a partnership?
Well, you have to share control with your partner, and that may lead to disagreements, for example, about future plans. Then, just as in a sole proprietorship, it may be hard to raise capital. You have to rely on a bank lending you money or invest your own personal savings.
What about tax?
Legally, the partnership is not separate from its owners. Therefore, the profits of the business are regarded as income of the partners, and if the partners are liable to tax on their income, they must pay it.
Thanks for your help.
That's okay. I hope you'll come again with your partner, and I can make a partnership contract for you.
After listening, go back and listen to the dialogue again if you need to. We'll check the answers in the next part. Let's check the answers. According to the lawyer, which two features of partnerships are similar to sole proprietorships? The answer? They're very simple to start and run, and there are few government regulations. Number 2. What are the two financial costs that partners are legally liable for? Losses and debts. Number 3. Do they need to register the name of the business? Why? Why not? The answer? Maybe. If they're not, you're just using their own names, their own personal names. For example, Taylor and Smart Diet Clinic. There would be no need to register that name. But Nutrition for Life? Probably yes. Number 5. If the partners do not make a partnership agreement, who will own more of the business? A. Mr. Taylor will own more because he is Australian. B. They will have equal ownership of the business. C. Dr. Smart will own more because she has more qualifications. The answer? B. If they don't make a partnership agreement, they will have equal ownership in the business. Number 6.
What may happen if a partner dies, but there is no partnership agreement? The answer? The partnership must end. The lawyer says the business may have to be closed or sold. Number 7. Give one disadvantage of a partnership that the lawyer mentions in the conversation. The answer? One from, they must share control. Disagreements, they could have arguments. It's hard to raise capital. You might have to invest your personal savings. One of those. Number 8. Who would pay tax on the profits of the business? A. The partners, because profits are part of their personal income. B. The business pays tax before profits are taken. C. No one pays tax because a partnership is used to avoid taxes. The answer? A. The partners pay tax because profits are part of their own personal income. They are not a separate legal entity from the business. Now, how did you do? Try the true or false exercise below. In the next section, we will look at the contract that the lawyer writes for Mr. Taylor and Dr. Smart. It's a partnership agreement. All right, let's look at the next 14 words, 14 key vocabulary items in the Types of Businesses unit. Again, we're looking at them on the Quizlet flashcards using the website. You can find the links to Quizlet below, and I hope you've downloaded the app and you found these words, these two sets of words, either with pictures or without pictures. The first word is bankrupt. Bankrupt. It's an adjective. He is bankrupt. The business is bankrupt. The noun is bankruptcy. Bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is to be avoided. This means legally unable to pay debts, not having enough money to pay debts. The court has declared you bankrupt. The court has found the business to be bankrupt. Corporation. Corporation. Corporation is a noun. The adjective is corporate. Corporate. A corporate job. A corporation is a business which has a legal status of its own. The business is separate from the owners. It's a separate legal entity from the owners. Directors. Directors or director. And in a corporation, we have a board of directors. The directors in a corporation are the people who make decisions about a corporation. They are the managers of the company, the directors. They make the business decisions. The group of directors is called a board of directors. Founder. Founder. A founder is a person who starts a business. For example, you can see a picture of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was one of the founders of Apple Corporation. Limited liability or unlimited liability. In limited liability, the owners have limited legal responsibility for the debts and losses of the business. Of course, in unlimited liability, there is no limit to the amount of debts and losses that the owners are responsible for. Recommend. Recommend. Recommend is a verb, to recommend something. The noun is recommendation. Recommendation. To recommend something is to say that someone or something is good and is the best choice. I recommend this restaurant. It has great food. That was a great recommendation. I really enjoyed the food. Register. Register. Register is a verb. The noun is registration. Registration. To register something means to put a name on an official list. You might register the name of your company with the government. You might register your investment in a company. To register something. A registered company. A registered company. A registered company is a company registered with the appropriate or the correct government department. Registered the name, the business, the board of directors, all these things must be registered for a company. Share or stock. Share is British English. Stock is American English. A share is a fixed and indivisible part of the capital of a corporation. It means the part of a company or corporation that an individual owns. Companies sell shares to raise money, to raise capital. The value of shares can go up or down. You can see an image here of the American stock market, the Dow Jones Average Index, showing the average value of the Dow Jones stock are going down in this picture. Shareholder, British, or stockholder, American. A stockholder is a person or business that owns shares or stock in a corporation. Status. Status. The legal position of a person or business. What's the legal status of that business? Is it properly registered? Tax or taxes. Taxes are money paid to the government by people or businesses. Businesses must pay part of their profits to the government as a tax. Term. Term. In business, term is a period of time. Is this a short-term business? A business open for a short time? Or a long-term business, like a corporation, opened for a long time? All right, we have finished the 28 words that were in this unit on types of businesses. Again, make sure that you have a paper copy and translate these if you need to. The links to the Quizlets are below and the app is available. Good luck. Okay, in this next section, we will read a partnership agreement written by the lawyer for Mr. Taylor and Dr. Smart. Before we start, it's a good idea to print a paper copy of this agreement. You can find it below. It's a PDF. Then you can make notes or underline any key vocabulary, words you don't know, as we go through the reading. Before you read, think about the important things that should be governed, that means controlled, by this partnership agreement. Can you think of 5 things? 5 things that should be in this partnership agreement. For one example, you could have the starting date of this partnership agreement. When was it executed? Now, before we start, you have a choice. I will read through the General Partnership Agreement and explain any words or ideas that might be difficult. Or, if you are happy, you can skip this part of the video and read the contract yourself, then answer the questions. If you're happy with that, skip this video. Otherwise, let's go on. This is the contract, an agreement between the two parties that want to form a partnership. Let's read together. General Partnership Agreement. Dates and parties first. This partnership agreement is entered into on December 7th, 2020 by and between, here's the first party, Mr. William Michael Taylor, nationality Australia, passport number A74761221, of address 57 Queen Street, St Kilda, Melbourne, Australia. And the second party, Dr. Sophie Louise Smart, nationality New Zealand, passport number MF484887, of address apartment 10, 103 Gipp Street, Melbourne, Australia. Next is the preamble, an introduction to this contract. What's it about? The above named persons, the two parties, agree that upon the commencement date, commencement means starting date or establishment date or date of execution, of this partnership formed between the two aforementioned parties. If you've done Contracts Unit 2 in Englishscape, you'll know about these words. Aforementioned, mentioned before the two parties, Mr. Taylor, Dr. Smart. Hereinafter, known as the partnership. Hereinafter. Here, in this contract here. Hereinafter, after this point, known as the partnership. Capital P, because it refers to a particular partnership, the partnership between these two parties. They shall be deemed to have become partners. Deemed in this case means become by law, and agree to work closely together in business. Therefore, the purposes, terms, and conditions of this partnership are as follows. And next we have the articles related to this contract. Article 1, Partnership Name and Address. The name of this partnership shall be Nutrition for Life. The principal place of business of the partnership shall be 103 Beach Street, St Kilda, Melbourne, or such other place in the state of Victoria as the partnership may hereafter determine. So we have the name of the partnership, Nutrition for Life, and their address. Article 2, Purpose of the partnership. This gives a reason for forming this business. The business of the partnership is to operate a medical health clinic, which provides consulting services for clients to develop and evaluate diet plans for the aforesaid, said before clients, and includes any other business related thereto. So, they're making a diet clinic to give advice to their clients on healthy diets. Article 3. Duration of the agreement. This is when it starts, when it finishes. The partnership shall begin, on January 1st of 2021 and continue until 31st of December 2028. The partnership is automatically renewable each 7-year cycle unless earlier dissolved by mutual agreement of the partners. So we have a 7-year agreement, 2021 to 2028, which is renewable automatically, unless they stop it, by mutual agreement. This means both partners must agree to this renewal. Article 4. Contribution and distribution of profits and losses. Money coming in, money coming out. The agreed upon capital contribution, money in, to establish the partnership shall be, or will be, 60% from Mr. Taylor, with the remaining 40% financed, provided, by Dr. Smart. The agreed upon distribution entitles Mr. Taylor to 60% of the profits, whereas 40% shall be given to Dr. Smart. Mr. Taylor will be liable for 60% of the partnership's debts or losses, with Dr. Smart financing the remaining 40%. So, Mr. Taylor provides 60% of the money to start this business, Dr. Smart 40%, so Mr. Taylor gets 60% of the profits and Dr. Smart 40%. Likewise, Mr. Taylor pays or is liable for 60% of the debts or losses and Dr. Smart 40%. Article 5. Financial regulations and limitations. Regulations, rules. Limitations is the noun for limit when something must stop. A division of profits and losses shall be made at any time as may be agreed upon by the partners and at the close of each financial year. The percentage of profit for reinvestment, investing into the business again, and the percentage for distribution, giving to the partners, shall be mutually agreed on by the partners. Again, mutually agreed, both must agree to the reinvestment or distribution. Any account-related operations, such as opening and closing bank accounts or signing checks, shall be done solely only by Mr. Taylor. However, any loan requests require joint signatures of the partners. Joint signatures, both signatures of both parties. Article 6. Responsibility of the partners. What each partner is responsible for, what they do in the business. The partners shall have exclusive control over the business. Mr. Taylor shall have responsibility for all financial, administrative, and marketing concerns in the partnership. Dr. Smart shall have responsibility for all research, conferencing, and medical or nutritional advice related to the business. So Mr. Taylor is responsible for the money and finance. Dr. Smart responsible for the medical or dietary advice. Article 7. Disputes. Disputes mean arguments or disagreements. Disagreements and disputes that cannot be resolved by the partners within 30 days will be submitted to an arbitration process to find solutions and repair the relationship of the partnership. The arbitrator shall be an independent third party appointed by the Victorian Small Business Commission. The aforesaid arbitrator's decision will be final. This means if there are any disputes, which cannot be solved within 30 days, they must go to an independent, a third party, someone not associated with the business. This is a legal arbitrator. Where's the arbitrator from? The Victorian Small Business Commission. Article 8. Selling of the partnership. If a partner decides to sell his or her interests in the partnership business to the remaining partner, the cost will be estimated at 1/2 of the current business value plus 2%. Payment for the business shall be completed over a period of not more than 3 years. No partner may sell his or her interests in the partnership business to a third party unless it is mutually agreed by the other partner. 30 days written notice of any proposed selling of the business is required. What does this mean? Firstly, they can sell the partnership, but they must have the agreement of the other partner. They can sell the business when it's valued at 1/2 of the current business value, 50% of the business value plus 2%. That's how much they can sell the business to a third party for. So, the partner who leaves the business receives 50% of the value of the business at that point, plus 2% from the new partner as a bonus. Article 9. Dissolution. The partnership shall be dissolved, which means closed, if one of the partners is unable to continue in the business in the event of retirement, illness, or death of a partner. The remaining partner has the right to continue the business of the partnership under the same name in consultation with the departed partner's heirs and beneficiaries. So in this case, the remaining partner can continue the business if one partner dies, if the heirs, probably the family, of the deceased partner agree. B. Expulsion, bankruptcy, or imprisonment of the partner. These mean going to prison, to jail. Bankruptcy, meaning having no money to pay liabilities and debts. The remaining partner takes full control of all interests and assets of the partnership. So, if one partner goes to jail for a crime or is declared bankrupt by the courts, the other partner takes full control of the business. The final article, Article 10, Governing Law and Jurisdiction. All questions concerning the validity, interpretation, or performance of the present agreement, this general partnership agreement, shall be governed by the laws of the state where the agreement was executed and performed. Which state is that? Well, it was mentioned in the addresses of these two parties. Which state do they live in? Where was this contract executed, signed, and performed, opened, and taken out? The final section is, of course, witnesses. In witness whereof the parties hereto have executed this partnership agreement on this 7th day of December 2020. And we have the two partners' signatures, William Michael Taylor and Sophie Louise Smart, and two witnesses who saw these partners sign this agreement, Oliver Mitchell and Nyan Zhen. Now, if you have read the contract carefully and are happy, try the activities that follow. There are some short answer questions based on this contract. There's some questions that match the main ideas to article numbers. And then there are some client questions, questions from both clients about this contract. After you finish, there will be another video where we will check your answers. Now, let's check the answers to the questions relating to the general partnership agreement between Mr. Taylor and Dr. Smart. We had some short answer questions first. The first one is, who is this agreement between? You would have got Mr. William Michael Taylor and Dr. Sophie Smart, Sophie Louise Smart. When is the starting date? When was this partnership established? Of this agreement, 1st of January 2021. What is the name of this business? I'm sure you found Nutrition for Life. If not renewed, when will this agreement finish? 31st of December 2028, and as you know, it's renewed automatically on a 7-year cycle unless one of the partners does not want to renew the business. Which state has the legal jurisdiction over this agreement? Well, Article 10 talked about jurisdiction of the state where this agreement was executed, and it is the courts of the state of Victoria in Australia. Part 2 asks you to match the main ideas to the articles. You can see the main ideas on the left and the article number on the right. Take some time, pause the video, and check your answers for these. If you didn't get any correct, go back and read the articles again. Now, let's look at the client questions. The first questions come from Mr. William Taylor, the first party. There's an example question here. What percentage of the capital must I provide for the new business? The answer is he's providing 60%. It's in Article 4. Article 4 doesn't have any clauses. And we've copied the short version of the answer. The capital contribution to establish the partnership will be 60% from Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor asks another question. If we have any disputes, who should I get to help us solve our problem? The answer? An arbitrator from the Victorian Small Business Commission. It's in Article 7. And the reason below, disagreements and disputes that cannot be resolved by the partners within 30 days will be submitted to an arbitration process. The arbitrator shall be an independent third party appointed by the Victorian Small Business Commission. Question number 3 from Mr. Taylor. Sophie needed some new equipment, so she wrote a check from the business account for $15,000. Did this action breach the terms of the agreement? Well, yes, she did. It's in Article 5, and the reason, any account-related operations such as signing checks shall be done solely by Mr. Taylor. Number 4, the last question from Mr. Taylor. I need to leave the country and I want to sell my share of the business to my brother. Can I do this? Yes, if you have the agreement from Dr. Smart. It's in Article 8. The reason? No partner may sell his or her interests in the partnership business to a third party unless it's mutually agreed by the other partner. So he can, but he must get Dr. Sophie Smart to agree. Now, some questions from Dr. Sophie Smart. William and I had a disagreement which required an arbitrator's decision. William didn't agree with the decision and has now gone to court again. Is this legal? No, because of Article 7. The aforesaid arbitrator's decision will be final. So the arbitrator we know is from the Victorian Small Business Commission. That arbitrator's decision is the final decision and must be obeyed by both parties. Question 4. Assuming we do not cancel this agreement, how long will the agreement last? Until 31st of December 2028, in Article 3, the partnership shall continue until the 31st of December 2028. Question number 7. I understand that we get paid at the end of the financial year. However, I need some money immediately. Can I get my share of the profits now? Yes, if Mr. Taylor agrees. Article 5. A division of profits shall be made at any time as may be agreed on by the partners. So if both partners agree, they can get a division of profits, or losses or debts, I suppose. Question 8. The diet plan I usually recommend for our clients is an approved standard plan and is very popular. However, my partner, Mr. Taylor, has told me to recommend a new diet called Aussie Slim and Trim because it will make the partnership more profitable. Can he order me to sell this plan? No. Article 6. Dr. Smart shall have responsibility for all medical or nutritional advice related to the business. So, she decides what plan they use. Now, for the final part of the partnership section, we'll review the advantages and disadvantages of the partnership business structure. Let's do a quick summary of the main points in this section on partnerships. Firstly, the definition of a partnership. A partnership is an association of two or more persons that conduct a business for profit as co-owners. There are several advantages to the partnership business structure. Firstly, they are easy to establish, open, and disestablish to close. The startup costs are usually low. If you have more people involved in the business, more partners, they can bring more skills and different levels of expertise in different areas. Also, having more people running the business means that you may have more capital available. More people may have more funds, more finance to bring to the business. Partners, of course, have complete control over the business decisions. And partners receive all of the profits, which they share. However, there are some disadvantages to the partnership business structure. Firstly, the partners have unlimited liability for losses and debts of the business. There is also a risk of disputes and disagreements, perhaps over the distribution of profits or the share of losses, or perhaps over how the business is run. Each partner may be legally liable for the actions of another partner. So one partner could do something that makes all the partners in the business legally liable for their actions. And finally, if a partner leaves, the business may have to be sold, unless, of course, there is some other arrangement made in the partnership agreement or contract. Now, go on to the next and final business structure in this unit: corporations.
Corporations. A corporation is a complex business structure that has many legal and administrative requirements. For those reasons, corporation status is used mainly by larger or established companies like Apple, Coca-Cola, or Toyota. A corporation is a separate legal entity from the individuals that run the business. This makes corporations very different from sole proprietorships or partnerships. The company is required to have a board of directors. They may decide to sell shares or stock in the company if they need to raise more capital. The directors are the managers of the corporation. The owners of a corporation are actually the shareholders or stockholders. The shareholders elect the directors. Since the corporation is a separate legal entity from the shareholders, the corporation is held legally liable for its own business debts, taxes, liabilities and obligations. The shareholders have limited liability, meaning that they can't be held liable for the corporation's responsibilities. Each shareholder can generally only be held liable up to the amount of his or her investment or shareholding in the company. A corporation must follow many complex government rules and regulations when it is established and in its administration. Therefore, it is much more expensive and usually takes a long time to establish. Also, because the company as well as the shareholders are both liable for tax, the profits may be taxed twice.
Now, let's try another listening exercise. In this listening, you will hear a lawyer advise her client about forming a corporation. As usual, before you listen, read the dialogue, either online or as a PDF. Can you guess the missing words? Here's a hint. Look at the client's answers to see how she is responding. Note, this client is from Dubai, so she speaks about the Middle East and needing millions of dirhams. That's the unit of currency in the UAE. Now, listen.
Good morning, Miriam. Nice to see you again. How can I help you today?
Hello, Miss Barrington. How are you? I need some advice about a new business that I want to start with some friends.
All right. First, I need to know about your business plan. What kind of business do you want to start?
We are planning to make and sell a new type of security device for cars. It uses a combination of GPS and mobile phone technology, and I think it will be very successful.
So, do you expect that this business will expand rapidly?
Yes, I'm sure the business will quickly grow to supply all the Middle East, and maybe Africa, and Europe, and further, because there's currently nothing like it on the market.
Will you run the business alone?
No, I won't run the business independently because it will grow very quickly. I will need professional engineers, managers, accountants, and so on.
Will you need to raise a lot of finance?
Of course, we will need a lot of startup capital. We have to finance the initial supply of parts and pay for the workers, advertising, and distribution. Our business plan requires 9.5 million dirhams as a startup costs. We only have a few million ourselves. However, we cannot risk all our savings in case something goes wrong with the business.
All right. From what you tell me, I advise you to form a corporation.
Okay. What are the advantages of doing that?
Let me see. Generally, a corporation's founders are not liable for any debts created by the corporation. Founders only risk their investment in the shares of the corporation. Additionally, corporations may be able to raise additional capital by selling shares in the corporation.
I see. Can you help me to do the required paperwork?
Yes, I can help you do that. And I can help you register your company with the authorities.
Thank you for your advice. Please go ahead and start the work for me.
Yes, I'll do that, but I'll need more details about the business and the other people who will be initial shareholders. Can we meet again next week?
Certainly. How about Monday at 9 a.m.?
That will be fine. See you then.
See you.
Go back and listen to the dialogue again, if you need to. We'll check your answers in the next part. Let's check. Number 1. How can I help you today? Number 2. I need some advice about a new business. Number 3. I need to know about your business. Number 4. Do you expect that this business will expand rapidly? Number 5. Will you run the business alone? Number 6. Will you need to raise a lot of finance? Here, finance is a noun, meaning capital or money. Number 7.
Our business plan requires 9.5 million dirhams as startup costs. Number 8. We can't risk all our savings. Savings here is money in the bank or other assets. Number 9. I advise you to form a corporation. Number 10. The founders are not liable for any debts created by the corporation. Number 11. The founders only risk their investment in the shares or stocks of the corporation. Number 12. Corporations may be able to raise additional capital by selling shares. Number 13. Can you help me to do the required paperwork? Number 14. I can help you register your company with the authorities. Number 15. Who will be the initial shareholders or stockholders? And number 16. How about Monday at 9 a.m.? Before you move on, here are some questions to think about. It's very important that a board of directors has the right combination of experience, skills, and qualifications. So, what combination of skills and experience do you think are most important to have on a board of directors? Can you think of 5 things? One thing could be legal experience. You might want someone who knows about corporate law and the rules and regulations for forming a corporation. Can you think of 5 others? When you have 5, rank these ideas from 1, the most important, to 5, less important. Now, try doing the Q&A, questions about corporations. You will see the link below. Match the question to the correct answer. In the next section, we will review the advantages and disadvantages of the corporation business structure. Let's do a final summary of the main ideas in the corporations section. Firstly, let's look at the definition of a corporation. A corporation is an artificial creation of the law, existing as an association of individuals that has most of the rights and duties of natural persons, but with perpetual existence and limited liability. What does that mean? Firstly, it's a creation of the law. There are rules and regulations around the creation of corporations that give this business structure its special and unique identity. It exists having the rights and duties like a normal person. But of course, it's a business. With perpetual existence, this means the business can last forever, even if the original founders die or leave, and has limited liability. There are several advantages to the corporation business structure. Firstly, as we mentioned, it has limited liability for debts and losses. The shareholders, the owners, only risk their investment in the corporation, the value of their shares. A corporation may be able to raise additional capital by selling shares or stock. A corporation can last longer than the life of the founders. And finally, a corporation can attract a wide variety of talent for its board of directors
and its management. So there are a lot of skills and experience and qualifications that the business can draw from to make profit. However, there are some disadvantages to the corporation business structure. Of course, the government ensures that there are many complicated rules and regulations. They do this to control the business and to make sure that the investors are protected. Forming a corporation, therefore, requires more time and money. Governments closely monitor corporations. They watch them closely, and this may result in additional paperwork requirements. It's difficult to close or dissolve a corporation because, of course, the corporation has many shareholders who have an interest in the corporation. And the founders or founder may lose control of the business because, of course, the management is completed by the board of directors. The founder may or may not be on the board of directors. Now, go on to the final section. It's the summary for this unit on types of businesses, and it includes the final test. Let's do the final listening exercise. In this exercise, you will choose the best business structure for your clients. In an international law firm, your clients will come from many different countries. English is an international language of business, but there are many different varieties and accents in English. Listen to your clients, describe their new business, and give them advice on the best structure to establish their new business: a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or a corporation. There may be more than one correct answer.
I am 18 years old and I love children. I like to organize special events like birthday parties. I have decided that a great way to earn extra money is to provide families with children's birthday parties for a low price. I do it all: arrange the food, supply the music, decorate the party room, play games, and give away small prizes. Families I know love the idea. I have an advertising plan prepared. I have Facebook and Instagram sites for my business, and I have posters to put up at the local shops. What type of business organization do you recommend? Why?
My business partner and I are 25 and 26 years old. We run a small but growing business. We buy auto parts made in China for American cars. Then we sell the parts to auto repair shops in Abu Dhabi and LA. We are now getting requests for our auto parts from auto repair dealers in 4 other Emirates. To meet this request, we will need a major expansion of our warehouse, and we will need to hire some new employees. What type of business organization do you recommend? Why?
I'm 27 years old and have just finished law school. Now I'm ready to begin my new career as a lawyer. I'm not interested in a job with a big firm because I like to be my own boss. However, it takes a lot of money to start a law practice. A modern law firm needs a lot of business machines, computers, copiers, and so on. Even in a small firm, the lawyers might need to hire some employees, a receptionist, maybe a paralegal worker. I have 2 friends who are in similar situations. I want this firm to be a success, but I'm not sure I have all the legal and business skills I need to pull it off. What type of business organization do you recommend? Why?
That was Ihani from Nepal, Yang Li from China, and Gerard from Ireland. Did you decide on what kind of business structure would suit their businesses best? Sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation? Now, listen to two more.
I am 35 years old and have been running 3 successful bookstores for 5 years. My customers think I have the right mix of books to appeal to younger and older readers. My coffee house nights, which feature local authors reading passages of their books to coffee-drinking customers, have been very successful. I am thinking about expanding to 8 stores. I have identified the new locations. They seem perfect. My 2 biggest problems are that I do not have enough money to support this expansion, and I'm not sure I have the skill to manage all 8 locations. What type of business organization do you recommend, and why?
I am a 45-year-old agriculture scientist. I have been working for years to come up with a natural, healthy egg that is low in fat. I finally have completed all the tests and have received all the government certificates I need for my new eggs. Until recently, my work has been simple and have been my own boss. But now, I want to launch my new product, Slim Eggs, in the UAE and the Saudi Arabia.
Go back and listen to the clients again if you need to. For each client, decide on the best business structure for them. Think of 2 reasons why it might be the most appropriate. Let's check your answers. The first was Ihani from Nepal. She was wanting to create a small business that ran children's parties. She was the only one working in this business. She would do all the work, the advertising, and organize the parties. It's a small business. Did you suggest a sole proprietorship? It might be best for her. Or on the other hand, you might think for her business success she might need different skills, perhaps some finance skills, some accounting. In that case, she might need to form a partnership. Both answers would be correct. The second was Yang Li on the phone from China. His business imported car parts for American cars into other countries. In this case, there is some risk involved because it's over multiple countries, and car parts can fail, which could make him legally liable if there's an accident. In this case, a corporation would be the best business structure. The third person was Gerard from Ireland. He's a lawyer, he's just graduated, and wants to be his own boss. However, he needs a bit of money to start his business. It's not easy to set up an office. In this case, you might have recommended a partnership for his lawyers. He said he had 2 friends who also graduated. Perhaps they could join together, form a business partnership, and that could be his business structure. The fourth person was Sabrina from Algeria. She owns a bookstore, but wants to open 8 more stores. That's quite a bit of risk she's taking. So what kind of business structure did you suggest? Her problems were she didn't have enough money for the new stores, and she wasn't sure if she had enough skills, business skills perhaps. In this case, you might have suggested a partnership with someone else who has a different set of skills or experience, or perhaps a corporation for more protection and less risk for our own personal assets. The fifth client is Aryan from India. He had developed a new kind of egg called slim eggs. They're healthier. Now that he has developed this new egg, he wants to sell it in different countries. However, he doesn't have enough money. And eggs have some risk because they can go bad. So he needs to protect himself from legal liability if anything goes wrong with the business. You might have suggested he forms a corporation. You're almost finished. Complete the vocabulary exercises below. Then, try the final summary test. You need at least 60% to pass. Good luck! Congratulations! You have finished this Englishscape course, Improving Your English for Business and Law. I hope that you enjoyed the course. Please leave some feedback. I would really like to know what you thought. Don't forget about other Englishscape courses for business and law. You might also like to try Contract Law, where we look at different types of legal contract and see how they are written and what makes a contract legal. Intellectual Property Law, in which we examine 5 different kinds of intellectual property protection and see how each one protects people's ideas, designs, and creations. Naturally, each course is supported by vocabulary development, focusing on the key words that you need to know to understand these topics. We also use real legal documents for our reading practice exercises. The listening activities are based on lawyers' discussion with clients. And of course, the usual quizzes and learning activities that take you to a variety of useful English learning websites. Don't forget to like Englishscape on Facebook and Instagram. Here you will be the first to find out about new Englishscape courses. Thanks again for taking this Englishscape course. I hope to see you again in one of our other business and legal English programs.